And so I wanted to address one of them, which is it's very, very common. A lot of you guys really want to know more information about this stuff, and that is knife laws. So I'm going to give you some information for you to find out what's legal in your state, what's legal to own, what's legal to carry, because oftentimes that is different. Here in Pennsylvania, I can legally own stilettos, you know, meaning a 1.5 sided sharpened knife. Not stiletto in like a switchblade stiletto. Stiletto by law is just a term for a blade that's a portion of the spine is sharpened. That's considered a stiletto, usually the top portion. Um, a dagger, which doesn't necessarily mean a fixed blade like you'd think to be a dagger. A dagger, by definition, by the law regarding weapons and so forth, is a fully double edged blade of any kind. I can own all that stuff. There's no limitations in Pennsylvania as to what I can own. I can own whatever I want. If it's sharp, doesn't matter, I can have it. But there are laws on what I can carry. In Pennsylvania, I cannot carry automatic knives, stuff like that. Every state's different. Now, in addition to knowing your state laws, there are also local laws. Your state may be able to tell you that, yeah, you can do this, but in your specific jurisdiction, perhaps this is more prevalent in city environments, there may be more limitations. Okay, so just because you're allowed it in the state doesn't mean you're allowed it in the exact spot you're in, but it's a very good rule of thumb to go by. If you go by state law and you're really not doing anything wrong, which I'll get into more information in a second, what I'm talking about, it's not going to be a problem. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that right now. If you're not doing anything wrong, I'm going to openly admit to you that being a knife nut my entire life, I've never limited myself to what I carry. I don't want to promote not doing the right thing, but I lived in New Jersey for 14 years. I carried balisongs around. I carried automatic knives around. I carried whatever I wanted. Huge knives, little knives. It didn't matter because I never did anything wrong. I'm not saying you should do the same, but what I am telling you is that there's a really, really, really good chance, extremely good chance, that a police officer is not going to stop you because of what type of knife you have on you. Unless you have a Crocodile Dundee, fixed blade, and it just seems a little out of place, they may approach you. But generally speaking, a police officer or any kind of law enforcement is not going to stop you because of what kind of knife you have in your pocket or even displayed. Um, where knife law comes into play is after the fact in regards to other issues. For example, if you're, let's say you're a teenager and you're in a popular area and you're loitering, which is often done because teens have nothing to do these days. Although they have a lot of things to do. For whatever reason, you decide to loiter. All kids do that at some point. And you're just kind of hanging out in front of a store somewhere. Maybe the store owner doesn't like it, whatever, calls the police. Now that the police are there for something else, they're there for your loitering, then they may search you or they may happen to see a pocket clip. And police officers are trained specifically to approach situations, and the wording, all that stuff is not by coincidence, okay? Even like for searches, they may say something like, I'm going to search you, all right? That's them asking you permission to search you. You can refuse, all right? But if you're not doing anything wrong, there's no reason to refuse a search. But of course, if you want to know all your legal rights, then yeah. But that's a swift way of them asking you. Instead of coming out and saying, can I please search you? I have to ask you to do this. They don't do that stuff because then it gives you the idea that you can say no. But the way they approach it is, I'm gonna pat you down. Don't get scared or anything. I'm patting you down because I'm gonna search you, all right? And when they say all right, they're asking you if that's okay. And then you, because you're probably nervous, you go, okay, okay, and then you're giving them permission. So stuff like that you should really know. And if you want to look into that, there's I don't there's tons of different references you can go to for general law. But the point I'm trying to make is if you're not doing anything wrong, there's no reason for a police officer or any kind of law enforcement to question what type of knife you have in your pocket. Um, if you're in a crime of some kind, let's say you rob someone or you get into some kind of, here's a more common situation, not that everyone's going out and robbing people, at least not the nice people watching my videos. um, let's say you're in a car accident would be very common because then police arrive, they do a quick report or whatever, In that case, when you're in a car accident, or if you're also relating to vehicles, if you're pulled over and for whatever reason you have to get out of your car, in both those instances, a police officer may see a pocket clip. Okay, this guy's got a knife. At that point, they may, once they notice that, they make a connection to it, they may ask you, oh, may I see your knife or whatever? And again, you say, yeah, because you just want to do the right thing and you're being polite or whatever. Or in the other case, you're nervous. Some people get nervous around police for some reason. I've always been like that. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong, but like if a cop gets behind me in the car, for some reason, I'm like, oh, God, get off my butt. I don't want it. I don't want to be followed by a police officer. And it makes me do things that seem out of the ordinary. It shouldn't be that way, but I don't know why the cops get me nervous. It's just what it is. So yeah, in that situation, if they see it, they have attention on it, then they question it. They go, "Oh, can I see your pocket knife?" Then you take it out. Okay, well, it's an automatic knife. We're not allowed to have these in the state. Then it may be an issue. All right. But if you're driving down the road on your merry way, you're not going to have a cop randomly stop you and ask to look at your knife. This goes for anything. Another common one would be some kind of a fight. If you're in a fist fight somewhere in public, whatever, police are called, blah, blah, blah. Then, yes, they'll probably pat you down if you have some kind of a weapon. That will be an issue at that point. But what I'm saying is that most of the time is when, you're already going to court for something else. When that incident occurred, whatever knife you may have had on your person at the time, that could be in question. And in addition to the other charges you have, that would be another charge on top of it, like illegal possession of a weapon or blah, blah, blah. So keep that in mind. Again, I'm not promoting doing something wrong, but I will openly, being honest with you guys, I'm always honest in my videos. I carry whatever I wanted for my whole life. And because I'm not doing anything wrong, because I don't have to talk to the police, because I'm not a bad person, I'm not fighting people, I'm not robbing people. If I get pulled over in a car, it's a very, very basic, okay, I was going 5 over the speed limit, something like that. I've never been asked to get out of the vehicle, nothing like that. So my knives were never ever questioned because I was always doing my own thing, mind my own business, so it's not an issue. But I still think it's good to be, fully aware of the law, particularly pertaining to knives. If you do decide to carry them as tools, just so you can feel safer knowing that no matter what happens, my knife's not in question. It's fully legal where I live, and everything's cool. So, for the law-abiding citizens, I'm going to recommend 2 major things. One, if you're into any kind of traveling, even to neighboring states, recommended book for you. I may or may not do another book review specifically on this. I don't really have to. I'll consider this a book review. I'll talk a little bit about it. This is Knife Laws of 50 States, a guide for the law-abiding traveler. Okay, I might have actually done a book review on this before. I don't even remember. It's put out by David Wong Esquire. Very fancy, David. Mr. Esquire. And this basically gives you all 50 states. It gives you a very specific breakdown. Here's a sample page, which I just randomly went to. And I'm going to say that's... Ready for it? You ready? What state is that? Oregon? People are constantly correcting me because I want to say Oregon. And I know that's not how you say it. And people who live there are like, oh, my God. Why can't you say it? Oregon. I don't travel to Oregon. I have them in my body. But anyway, that's nor here or there. I'm just ignorant when it comes to pronunciation. I just say whatever I want. But yeah, let's use that as an example. So they give you a chart, a very easy to read, quick guide. Okay, this chart right here. And you probably can't read it because of the webcam quality, but I'll read it to you. The first category are types of knives, and every state's going to do this, right? Folding knives, fixed blades. Now, one section is dirk, daggers, and stilettos. Okay, those are just referring to the sharpening of the blade or blade styles. Okay, not like stiletto doesn't mean Italian switchblade. It's nothing like that at all. It's just referring to single edge on one side sharpened and portion of the other side sharpened, which is a stiletto, usually 1.5 sharpened edges. Dagger, being double edged, so forth. Then the next category is automatic knives, and then they do have their own section for balisongs. Thank you very much, because that is always a gray area. Some states don't have specific laws against balisongs. They have specific laws against gravity knives. And if your knife becomes in question because of something else and you go to court, oftentimes a balisong is considered a gravity knife because you use gravity to open it. Not really. You need momentum, but depending on how you open it, you can use a balisong and use gravity to open it. So it's very tricky. I'm glad that this Mr. Wong had included that as a category. All right. Now, in addition to giving you yes or no answers, very easy, in open carry and concealed, there's also a notes section. Okay, so if there's more details, you read the notes, go on further information, which is awesome. They also give you the rest of these pages and stuff. Besides the chart page, they give you individual court cases where it's been deemed one way or the other, legal, not legal, exact codes, law. If you want to read the law for yourself and interpret it for yourself, it's not just this professional's interpretation. It's you can make your own. Okay, so that's awesome. Word for word law regarding weapons. Now, they also give you just some random on the top of each one, random facts about the state, which I always find interesting. So, Oregon, the beaver state, area 95,997 square miles. Its rank is number 10, so it's the 10th largest state. Population 3,521,515. Probably changed. I'm sure some people have been born, died, and moved out of Oregon. And then they give you violent crime rate. They give you rank for the safest state, directly relating to crime. So they're saying Oregon is the 20th safest state. And then the state motto: she flies with her own wings. So none of that relating to knife law. I just thought that's fun and interesting because you get to, if you buy this book, if nothing else, you can learn about all the states just in general like that. Crime, how big they are, how many people there live there, and their slogans. So anyway, all right. So for anyone who's living in Oregon, here's a freebie. So you don't have to buy the book. Folding knives, yes for open carry, yes for concealed carry, no questions asked. Fixed blades, yes for open carry, yes for concealed carry, no questions asked. Dirks, daggers, and stilettos, yes for all if openly carried. No, you cannot conceal any of those. Automatic knives, yes for open carry only. You cannot conceal carry. Balisongs, also yes for open carry, not concealed carry. Now, this is very black and white. There's no notes, no, technical details involved there. So, very good liberal knife state. Awesome. Anything that's sharp, you can carry openly. And then most folding knives and fixed blades you can also conceal carry unless you have certain stipulations like balisongs, autos, stilettos, blah, blah, blah. So, and then they do this for every single state, which is awesome. Very, very cool. And then in some cases there's resource contact information if you wanted more information specifically for each state regarding the laws. It's a perfect book. It serves its exact purpose by the title, Knife Laws of 50 States. It tells you everything you need to know regarding the knife laws. So a must-have. Now, let's say you're a very cheap SOB and you don't want to buy this book. You should, because books are good to have. By the way, as I'm saying that, I'm reading the back. David Wong is an attorney in private practice in Massachusetts. So that's where you're getting your information from, an attorney who has done knife laws and so forth. So it's not just some Joe Schmo said, yeah, you can have this, yeah, you can have that. It's actually professional who knows what he's talking about. So yes, awesome book. But as I was saying, for the poor people and the people who are choosing to be poor, as well as the people who don't have an option, I'm going to put a link to a website which will give you not the yes and no charts, but they will give you exact written law pertaining to weapons. Okay, this is Bernard Levine's website. Just did a book review on one of Bernard Levine's books on knife laws. So if you click the link down below, you'll see the title says State Knife Laws, and then it's broken down into quarters. So you pick your state according to letter, A through H, then I through M, so on. So you click on it, and then it'll give you a list of all the states. You click on your state. Let's go to Oregon. I hope I'm saying it right, this whole video, the proper way. All right, now this gives you literally word for word every code. There's no alterations here. Okay, this is exactly how the law is written pertaining to weapons. So you can now read your laws yourself and interpret them yourself. Now, of course, not everyone's a lawyer, and this may be confusing. So you may want to further and buy the book. So you get the very simple yeah, no, maybe. All right. But like I said, if you just want to take a glance at your state and see exactly what it says, click the link below. It'll bring you to the site, which is awesome. And because I'm already on Bernard's site, I also want to read some of the information, his credentials, because a couple people asked me, they said, they're interested in getting that book, which, by the way, I'm sorry, it turns out to be more of a collector's book than anything. I didn't realize that they stopped making this one, and it's hard to find. People want it because of all the information that's in it. I'm referring to the Bernard Levine's guidebook that I did the book review on recently. But anyway, his credentials. Um, he's an author, an expert witness, because a lot of what he does too is court cases regarding knives and weapons, identification and appraisal. Let's see. Knife expert witness services. I have been retained by attorneys, police departments, and insurance adjusters in more than a dozen states for telephone consultation, written reports, depositions, and courtroom testimony. He does everything from civil court cases, knife identification, insurance, and estate, tax, design, legislative history, manufacturer, and merchant liability. And he does criminal court cases, appeals, law enforcement, stolen property, forensic evidence, dirks and daggers, dangerous weapons, blah, blah, blah. So he does a lot of legal stuff. Okay, he's basically a go-to expert on knives for a lot of people across the whole U.S. His background: 37 years experience, 28 years expert witness experience, 10 knife books published, more than 500 magazine articles, and blah, blah, blah. And also, by the way, all this contact information in here as well. And he happens to live in Oregon. And when I originally picked Oregon, I know, I had to. It doesn't feel right if I don't. Yeah, he was originally, the state I originally picked was random, but it all happens to fall in place. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Haas USMC is in Eugene specifically. So, yeah, Bernard's your neighbor there, Haas. So if you ever have any knife questions, I'm sure he lives down the street from you. Not to say that everyone in Eugene lives on the same street. Anyway, yeah, so click the link if you want to read the code directly for yourself and interpret for yourself. If not, go out and get this book, which is absolutely perfect for the subject. All right, now in addition to this, a lot of you knife guys happen to be gun guys too. So instead of making a separate video to make you watch, not that you have to watch anything I do, there's another traveler's guide for firearms. Okay, now I have every year, I happen to grab 2009 on accident. I meant to grab the newest one. Basically, the same kind of setup. Okay, very straightforward. Yes, no, blah, blah, blah. A must-have guide, okay, for gun owners. In addition to that, also, I know it's not gun related, but there's so many guys out there who likes gun stuff too and watches the channel. Pennsylvania does this. I don't know if your state does this wherever you live, but I would look into it. Pennsylvania, every single year, every year I get a copy of this in case it's revised. This whole fat manual booklet thing is every single law pertaining to guns in my state. Okay, this is a very detailed, extensive read. Pennsylvania laws relating to firearms. This is put out by my representative, Mr. Mike Pfeiffer, or Pfeiffer. I've always heard Pfeiffer, but I've never really looked into if that's how it's pronounced. Regardless, I don't really care. He is pro guns, and I think it's awesome that his office puts this out. It's really, it gives you almost every single example of when a firearm might have a legal issue. Like, incident reports, shooting or causing injury to human beings. Every single detail you could possibly think of where it might involve the law, a courtroom, and a gun. So it's really, really a fascinating read. Toilet literature. when you're sitting on that bowl after a huge Mexican dinner and you're bored staring at your wallpaper, your ceiling, this is something you should keep in there to glance over. So that's pretty much it. Just want to talk about that because I do get quite a bit of questions pertaining to knife laws and stuff, and I'm not a knife law expert. When you guys ask me these questions, I don't go, yes, you should not carry this because I remember Johnson versus Johnson or Spy versus Spy in '92 when they predicted that to be unlawful. No, I open the book, I look it up, and I tell you, I'm a middleman. So what I'm saying is, cut out the middleman, free me, world, free me of the obligation to explain law to people, and go right to the source and figure it out for yourself. It's not that hard. Reading the laws directly, like when you click the link, that will be a little bit confusing in some cases because it is written law. It usually doesn't, it's not black and white. You have to kind of read it like 10 times and really interpret it. Break it down if you have to, highlight certain parts and just kind of read it slowly and try to grasp how they're putting it across to you. And if you happen to have someone who's a lawyer or something, and family member or a friend or something, you can approach them and say, hey, here's the exact law that I'm interested in. How would you interpret this? And maybe get their help to get an understanding of it. A lot of people, like when they contact me asking about law, they'll say, I called the police station and they said that I couldn't have this and blah. Look, no offense against cops, but there's no possible way they can know all the laws. They know enough to get by. And most police officers don't know what the knife laws are in even the state that they work in. Okay? They're not trained to know law. They're not lawyers. They're not judges. That's not their thing. They have basic understanding of what's going on. Okay? That's what their job pertains, is basic keeping people in line. What I will tell you is it doesn't matter if your knife is legal to own and or carry. Okay, if a police officer feels at any point that it's uncomfortable or it's a threat, that's the biggest word here. If he's approaching you, no matter what the situation, if at any point in time he feels your knife on you is a threat, okay, he will take it from you. Okay, well, he will ask for it first, and if you say no, you're really getting yourself into some trouble, and he will just take it. Okay, he will not take no for an answer. So keep that in mind. So, a police officer asks for your knife or gun. You may disagree with me, but the best thing to do is to give it to them politely as possible and in a non-threatening way. I'd like to take a look at your knife. Don't take out your knife and like wave it out and here you go. You're gonna get shot. Okay. My phone's ringing. I'll be back. All right, I'm back. Okay, so I was saying, if you take your knife out of your pocket to give the police officer or your gun, don't draw your knife as if you're going to use it. Don't draw your gun, please. It would be like very slow motion. Okay, look, I'm going to take the gun out and explain. Be verbal with the police officer. First of all, be respectful. All right, every police officer, I don't care what state you live in, male, female, young, old, you're all going to really, really like if the person you're dealing with is vocal to you. And I don't mean like shout at them, but tell them every step you're doing, make your hands very visible the whole time. Okay, look, I'm going to, you like to see my knife. I'm going to take the knife out with my pointer finger and thumb. I'm going to just gently take it out. I'm not going to open the blade. And as you're talking, say, is it okay? Is it okay if I do this? A lot of people disrespect police and they might say, well, screw them. I'm not going to get my knife. Do whatever you want, but trust me, if you fight the situation and that officer is starting to get aggravated, he will only make your life worse, and you will have consequences for that. So, anyway, besides that, something else I think I wanted to say. I hate when I get a phone call, I get distracted because now I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. Yeah, even if it's legal, if the cops feels any kind of threat by it, he'll take it away. He'll confiscate it. And yeah, you may be yelling and saying, well, it's my knife. I'm allowed to have this. You know what you're talking about. That's not going to help the situation. Okay. Unfortunately, it's just how it works. Okay. And now, of course, once you go to court, You can fight the fact that, look, I have a legal knife. I don't know why it was obtained from me, blah, blah, blah. You can fight that fact. And if you have time and money, you can win that. Okay. More likely than not, after the situation, if something's confiscated, you can go to the police station and get it back. It's usually not that big of a deal, honestly. But during the situation, during getting pulled over, or the traffic violation, if something gets confiscated, you're not going to get it back when he's done talking to you. You know, most likely he's confiscated. It really depends on the situation. So anyway, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I would definitely suggest that book and all this literature you can get on law. Talk to lawyers. Do not talk to police because they don't know what the laws are. Oftentimes, police are wrong. They're not trained to know the law. It's not their responsibility. Quite honestly, they're there if it's a threat, they take it away. That's what it comes down to. Okay, so your laws and your rights, they honestly don't matter at that specific point in time. The only reason you're talking to that police officer is because you did something wrong, or they feel you did something wrong. So just play it cool, and everything will be all right. I hate when I get distracted. I get so focused when I turn the camera on, and I have like things I want to say, and bleh. Oregon. I live in Oregon. I like Oregon. Organ, yeah. It just I think of like appendix and stomach and heart. Organs. I don't know. I'll probably slip up in the future and say Oregon anyway, just because that's how I've always said it my whole life. Oregon, water, chimney. Just part of me. I know it's wrong. Oh, it's so wrong. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I'm sure I'll still get questions all the time. Hey, man, I really like this knife. Can I have this in my state? I live in blah, 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 and I don't know any of the information offhand. So that's what I'm doing. I'm letting you know. If you still ask me, I'm just going over to my little thing behind. Well, I don't know if you see it. Yeah, that thing right there. I got some books under it. It's a bookshelf. And I grab this book and I flip through and I go, let out a sigh. But it's cool because it refreshes my mind on things. And I go, oh, there's your state. Okay, let's see. He wants to know, blah, 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 blah. And I come back here and type it, do, 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 do. And then, I send it to you and you read it and you go, woo! Now I know. But you can cut the middleman out. If you, don't get a response right away from me, you can go straight to the source. As far as responses, messages look like they're doing okay. The replies for now, cross your fingers. There's always YouTube problems. But right now it looks like it's okay. So hopefully I'll get through some more messages in the next couple days. So anyway, that's all. What did I say that like 4 or 5 times already? Yeah, that's it. That's the end of the video. Oh, by the way. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate your time. And I wanted to tell you, I'm really going now. I have an arts and craft. Yes. When I finish the video, I have an arts and crafts project I'd like to do with you, and it's going to be lots of fun. So boys and girls, stay tuned for that. I'll post that video after this one sometime today, in between errands and doing some other stuff. And that's all. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your time, as always. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.